Alrighty, so we are on stream and we are messing around with the final boss, Melly and Ellie, which is very annoying. Honestly, it's pretty tedious. But the top teams that are being used currently are this very interesting one, and then the Angel team is also a pretty top contender, so if you have that one. I did try it for like 1 or 2 matches. I'm not a big fan of it because these enemies do actually have a passive that make it to where Mael does a lot less damage. So you're basically relying on the other 2 heroes there, which is not great. I don't exactly know what the whole idea behind it is. I'm assuming you just need to use Mael for stance removal because of his ultimate, and then you're using the other 2 characters for actual damage. But we're going to be using the other team, which I think is a little bit more accessible, and I say that loosely because you might not have some of these units, but Zeldris is pretty old. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Zeldris that's in the coin shop. Green Gother you could have gotten during this festival. Obviously, if you don't have him, you know, that does suck, but you might be able to substitute red, because I think the only thing I'm using him for in this scenario is literally just ranking up. I'm sure his passive does help in this scenario. And then I'm using Scotty. Scotty might be a character that you don't have, but yeah, I'm also using Matrona in the back because she is buffing Giant's stats, which is very good, but I don't necessarily know if that's like a must-have. If you're not going for like the most points ever, you could probably try to replace this with like Ragnarok Bon or something a little bit more supporty, like the Red Liz or something like that. But either way, a lot of people have told me that if you want to go for like max points, you do probably want to have the relic on Zeldris. I currently do not have the relic, so just know that you can beat it without it. I do have Scotty's relic, and I was asked in the chat earlier if you need to have her relic. I honestly don't think it's super necessary because we're basically going to be saving her buff removal card for stance removal in phase 2 anyway, so we're not even really going to be getting any use out of that. So the Oath of Combats that I have on are the ones except for ultimate moves, because honestly just being able to burst down the characters is what's going to get you through this fight the fastest. This isn't necessarily going to be, you know, the most point run or anything like that, but beating it on Challenger, because it's so hard, should end up netting you a decent enough amount of points, so where you should be in a pretty good spot for, you know, good rewards overall. So we do have the extra Scotty card here turn 1, so I'm going to go ahead and merge that and rank up Scotty because we do want to save this level 3 card for the stance removal going into the second phase. We're just going to go ahead and hit Ellie with the Bear Trap card, the Hunting Beast card, because, you know, just more debuffs on Scotty means more stats overall. They are going to be targeting my Zeldris quite a bit. From my understanding, you know, he's going to get a lot of debuffs on him. If you have the Holy Relic, you can kind of use that to cleanse and get more, just, you know, basic stats overall. I think it's, is it basic stats or all stats? I can't remember exactly which one his ultimate gives, but either way, we do have ultimate removal on Zeldris, which is kind of nice. You do have to be very careful with your debuff cards because Melly does put on a stance that only counters when you put debuffs on him, so you don't want to hit him with a debuff card. You can hit him with anything else basically. Luckily, the Bear Trap card from Scotty is not a debuff card, and the ultimate removal card from Zeldris is not a debuff card, so we can potentially use those. Insane merge right here. That's actually pretty nuts. But this should end up killing Elizabeth off pretty quickly. I was told earlier that you normally want to kill Elizabeth first in this phase if possible, and then in the second phase you basically want to make sure that Melly dies turn 1. So we're going to go for, I guess, the upgrade on Zeldris, because why not? And then we're going to hit Melly with the ultimate removal card here. So this should kill Elizabeth off. 509,000 damage. She just does a lot once you get some debuffs on her, and just the higher ranking cards from Scotty, fantastic. He is pretty tanky overall, so Scotty cards are going to be really helpful here. We do have some ultimates in hand, so I'm probably just going to waste the Scotty ultimate to do some extra damage to try to help me get through this phase a little bit faster, because that would be ideal. You do want to have some halfway decent cards in hand when it comes to the second phase, so that way you don't have to rely too much on just like pulling extra cards and stuff like that to actually deal damage to Melly, because he is very tanky, and turn 1 he is basically going to have a damage reduction stack on that is going to be impossible to get through. So you basically want to stall turn 1 going into the second phase, get rid of that debuff or that buff that he has on himself, and then you want to burst him down after that. But he's going to be guaranteed to put his stance on, so that's why we're saving the level 3 here. Scotty cards should be hopefully enough to deal decent damage here. I don't have any other cards that aren't debuffs, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get debuff sealed anyway going into the second phase, so I'm going to hope that this card kills. If it doesn't, we're going to use this and hope that that kills so we don't get countered, and then I'm just going to get rid of the Gother card here. So that does kill, very good. Unfortunate that we waste the Zeldris card there, but like I said, it's most likely going to get sealed from Elizabeth's card anyway. Going into the second phase, you can see that he does have this little buff on. I'm not sure if it's going to be on the right side of the screen. It is unfortunately on the left side behind my camera. I can kind of hide it really quickly. Final damage is minus 70%, so it's a huge, huge, huge damage reduction. We're just going to probably throw any cards that we can away, and then I'm going to rely on these 3 cards right here. This is the exact same cards that I used the first time that I beat this, so it should hopefully deal enough damage. I do have 6/6 on both of these ultimates, but you could potentially stall a little bit more. That way you're actually going to be able to get better cards. If you can maybe save one of those Bear Trap cards from Scotty going into this phase, it could potentially be a lot better, which then again, I am using Matrona in the back to boost her basic stats, so she's probably going to be the big damage dealer for this team, so I would assume that the Bear Trap card might be the better one, you know, to use here in this scenario, but we're going to throw both of these out, and we should be hopefully in a pretty decent position. So boom, this is going to do pretty good damage. That's almost half of his HP bar there alone. We do burst him down. The Zeldris card did not kill on its own last time, so I guess that's just kind of a nice little bonus. Reset some ultimate move gauge there for some points as well, which is great. And then we're basically just going to actually going to upgrade into a level 3 and Bear Trap Ellie as well. So pretty much good to go at this point. Nothing hindering us too much. We're actually going to beat this, I guess, in, I don't want to say record time, but a lot faster than my previous run took. So overall, it's pretty annoying. There's a lot to worry about in this fight, but if you have Scotty, it makes it a lot more manageable, I think. 1 million damage on that. It's kind of crazy. And then what is our score? I had 54,000 exactly last time, so what is my score? We hit 5658. So that is honestly pretty good. That we're going to stay in the top 1%, at least for right now. And I would imagine, because this fight is so annoying, we're probably going to end up staying around the at least below 10%. By the time that this thing finishes, unless somebody ends up coming up with a much better team, and if they do, I will try to stay up to date and make a new video on it whenever it comes out. So that's pretty much how you can beat challenge difficulty. That's the team that you can use. It'll give you a pretty decent score on top of I guess you could potentially just run it as many times as you want. It's not going to be super fast farm or anything. I don't necessarily know that there is a good fast farm team for challenger. The only one that I've seen is for extreme, and it's using like a Rimuru setup, and that just doesn't really seem ideal. Ideally, you would want to go for the highest difficulty, so that way you get the bigger challenge points, so that way you can actually clear the shop a lot faster. But that's pretty much it from me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and maybe you can come hang out with us next time that, you know, we do live summons and everything, and kind of mess around with the events and everything. So feel free to subscribe, of course. I will see you guys later on.